Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Wednesday, September 30th. So, last day of the month. Just like that, we are done with September, on to October. We'll talk about today's price action in just a second, but I just wanted to kind of lead off with that. I thought overall that the month was a tough month to trade, right? As September's typically go. I thought that this month was kind of true to form. We went through 4 weeks where the market went down, so that's kind of a little bit worse, I think, than normal September's. Maybe there's a a little bit of a move back. Although I would say one thing about the 4 weeks that were down, they weren't that extreme. I didn't think. The Nasdaq did finish lower for the lower than the S&P for the month, but I didn't think that we were hit with like major volatility. It was just kind of like a winding down of risk. And I think it was also like when you put it in perspective, I think that the market really advanced. And sometimes when it advances as much as it did for months, you're talking about, basically what the market did from April to July, it got ahead of itself. So, the more that sometimes the market gets ahead of itself, the harder it can be on the way down. So I don't think that it was overall ridiculously hard in terms of as September's range, because the volatility, like, it just wasn't as bad. We didn't even get to like back over a 35, I think, in the VIX in the month of September. It was just kind of that wearing on you month. There was some days and some weeks where it was painful because the market would try to rally again, from time to time, a couple times during those 4 weeks. And it would stall out, right? And it would stall out basically right where it needed to kind of turn the corner. So, yeah, I would say pretty challenging. But I would say a couple things here. And by the way, I will be doing my full P&L video, and I'll do that probably probably after the close tomorrow, because I always like to kind of go back through the month in a little bit more detail, talk about what trades that I did well in and what trades I did poorly in. I could tell you for this month, my performance is right around flat, and I wanted to get it. I really wanted to get the performance positive for the month because I've had a streak of positive months since starting in March, where I've been up every month this year, and very nicely in a couple of those months. So, unfortunately, I don't know if it. I'll have to see how E-Trade calculates it out, but I would like to keep the streak alive. But that's okay if it's not. Every once in a while, I think you do need a month like this to kind of put things not only in perspective, but to make sure that you're trading, that you're staying disciplined in your approach. I think one of the negative things too about the market, by the way, that it was great, obviously, that the market rallied as much as it did this year, but from it going basically straight up through the summertime, the negative there is that you lose a little bit of your discipline muscles, right? Your little bit of muscle memory that takes place. So, it's good to have one of these months where it kind of puts you back into check and is a reminder that in this game of trading, whether you're being, if you're trading options as well as stock, like me, or if if you're trading either or both, but especially options, it just shows you how disciplined, reminds you how disciplined that you have to be in this game, right? And that the market doesn't always go up, right? The market over time is going to do more or less, is going to go up and down, right? And you have to kind of be prepared or have a little bit of a game plan for both of those situations, not just one. So, that's one of the major takeaways I would say for this month is, if you had a positive month, congratulations, you did a great job. If you were flat to down just a little bit, I think you also did a really good job at risk management. And if you had a bad month, it happens. I wouldn't stress about it because, the best traders in the world, it happens to them. And the main thing that you want to take away in all of those three situations, whether you did great, whether you did fair, or whether you did poorly, is that you really want to take what happened from the previous month, reflect a little bit, and improve and take it forward and be able to incorporate some of the lessons and improve on what you're doing, right? We never get to a situation in trading where we've just figured it out, right? We're always kind of battling against our oneselves too, in terms of, what we think is going to happen, versus what actually happens. I like the statement. I was listening to CNBC and Josh Brown made a statement about that no one really knows what's going to happen in the short term. Anything could happen in the short term. I like that because I believe in it. There'll be certain days where you just can't anticipate every news event that's going to happen or how this market is going to go. One of the things that I've kind of learned over the years is to be a trend trader and what I call, watching what's above. Watching what I call above the hood, price and trend, and really following that closely, and then of course looking at market internals, but really trying not to make predictions. Right, we do want to try to anticipate and make some decisions when we have some key events ahead of us. But for the most part, no one knows what's going to happen in the next couple days, and the more that you can become comfortable with that you just don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. But you're making decisions based on setups, risk to return, those types of things. You're going to become better and better as a trader than trying to predict, what this event is going to do to the market or what that event is going to do, to the market. Because again, it's always going to be something, in my opinion, that nobody thought of, right? That is going to affect the market either way. So I'll get more into the nitty gritty. I'll get more into the weeds when I see what my final P&L comes out and E-Trade tabulates that tomorrow. So you can look out for a P&L video from me out for tomorrow. Let's get into today's price action. I thought today was a pretty whippy day. From where we were and, futures overnight during the first debate, kind of all over the place. And today, there was really some good trading opportunities, I thought. But you had to, kind of realize where the indices were at. And, we plan ahead every day. If you're a member of Tribeca Trade Group, you know that I send you an email with index levels on it, things to watch out for. So one of the things that, and by the way, this is really crazy, price action, but you're not going to see it on the 5-minute chart. On the 1 hour, we came right into one of these version point of controls. And as I've said, same thing when we took these out to the downside last week. They will often, not always, but they will often provide reversal points. This was basically to a T. Right, the following couple of hours afterwards is when we try to go higher, and we didn't. So how do we incorporate this in our trading? Well, we just get really disciplined around there. When I hit this, and a fellow trader mentioned it to me when this was actually taken out, because I was watching this earlier in the day, but we had such a nice rally intraday, but I started to literally take off trades around this time. I was like, oh, geez, wow, we're right there. That's my upside short-term target. So I had to make some adjustments, and you could see what I kind of did for the day. So this was at what time did we take this out? This was right around 11 o'clock. Yeah, I slowed down because I was really trading pretty fast and furious in the first hour or so of the day, up until about, I just saw a lot of opportunities on the tape, so I was busy taking them. Tesla didn't really work out. That was my chart of the day. It just didn't have any momentum to it. I managed to skim a nice trade, and then I tried to get back into it, but it just didn't have any momentum to it. So I took that trade off for small. But names that I had on, the LI, which I got out of today, and Neo, right? I mean, those were up big in the pre-market. So this theme, by the way, with the solar as well as alternative energy stocks, electric, vehicles. It has been insane. I think at this point it's getting a little bit long in the tooth. If I had to guess, in terms of just about every name going crazy that has mentioned electric, or even like the amount of call flow in the solar names, has been astounding, and the performance. So we'll go over those charts in just a second. But yeah, that was the first thing that I did. Then notice the momentum in Alibaba. I think I would have done better if I would have just went into Alibaba this morning. But I always have a hard time trading chasing, I should say, Alibaba. I should have positioned for it, pre going into this, but I didn't. But man, what a really nice day for Alibaba, up 6%. What did I do? I went into the China ETF. This is an area that I've been watching, and we actually were talking about this last night in the trading room, that there just really hasn't been any momentum in the Chinese internet names. So maybe this gets them going a little bit. We did start to see some things move. So JD is another name that I think is interesting here, but I think Baba stole the show in this space today with really nice price action and a lot of call activity. I think I tweeted that early. There was just a lot of calls that went up in Alibaba. Perhaps some under, not a lot of. Sorry, let me say that again. Probably just not a lot of exposure in this name, and people trying to kind of get into this thing, seeing some, what they had to say at their, well, I think it was Analyst Day today. But anyway, that's so I traded this. Lennar was another name that I've been talking about now for probably over a week. That did break out. Let's see where Lennar closed. It's always tough getting into some trades that you want to get into for a swing trade in the beginning of the day because you just don't know how they're going to close. But I think all things considered, I think it closed okay considering what the overall market did. Don't worry, I will go over the indices again in just a second. I got out of my Nvidia trade, right to 540, which was my upside target. I think it kept going a little bit. Yeah, it's around 541. So who knows? This could get going, but I wanted to use this top of value as my as my overall target. So mission accomplished. This was a trade from Friday. So this helped me a lot. Again, taking that off, that was around 10:11 that I decided to get out of that one. And then I started to just kind of day trade a little bit. First Solar, there was an announcement about First Solar, and I think, who was it? GM, I think, that has a contract with them or something to that effect. But it was a little bit of a catalyst for the day, as if the solar names needed another catalyst. CSIQ is the name that really saw the call activity in the solar space today. This name is close to breaking out. It's just funny that they would buy calls today, breaking out, but maybe there's something that I don't know about why they would buy calls in this one. I can kind of show you how that looked. Right, call after call after all short-term stuff, which again is what we're seeing. There's also this name that saw a lot of calls. I did participate in this name. This what is it, Bloom Energy? Again, another small cap name, but this name could fly. Once these little names get momentum to them. So I took some targets in this one too, but I left the last piece on. That should be in here someplace. I think I hit a target up at 180. To do 180, paid 135. So Microsoft also started to see calls after this announcement with Datadog. Datadog, I stared at this thing, and for whatever reason, I just didn't trade it today. The good thing is, I do own it in the Tribeca Trade Group weekend portfolio trade. This was a name that we talked about in the weekend video, so I own that name, and just monster day for this thing. I didn't really know. I've seen before where a name announces like an alliance with another company or like a strategic partnership, and it bounces and then it doesn't do much. This thing just had legs to it, and they just kept coming with calls. I looked at it again around like 98, 98 and a half, and I'm like, do I want to chase it here? And I made another bad decision not to chase it because the damn thing went all the way up to almost 108. So I was like, so it just happens sometimes, right? Because I participated in like literally three other names today. There was no reason why I didn't take that one. I just didn't, well, like I said, I explained myself. I just didn't think it was going to run that much. I did take a little bit of, I traded some Microsoft. That worked today. And then, once we got to that time frame, I started forcing targets and things. I got out of some Lulu stock that I've been long for a couple weeks. I got out of PayPal from yesterday. Again, not because they like achieved my ultimate target, because we took out this S&P VPOC, and I just thought that, hey, everything was going right. I thought that this was a good place to kind of take some risk off and watch what this market wants to do next. Of course, we knew that part of, I think, well, anyway, what I speculated on was that this market was going to kind of run into this meeting with Pelosi and Mnuchin, and then it would be hard to see if anything would be accomplished. But it's always, well, I don't want to say always because there's never an always, but a lot of times in trading, it's buy the rumor, sell the news, and and that's important, right? To kind of pick up on that kind of stuff, right? If you're waiting for them to do a deal, that's not really what trading about. Trading is anticipating what the market could do when they say they're going to meet up, and then once they actually have the meeting, what do you think is going to happen from that point on, right? So again, using a little bit of instincts and trading experience along with those technicals, right? And watching price and trend, right? Something like this, taking out the virgin point of control and then falling back. So where does this leave us? A big doji here. So we're kind of like at a decision point here, and we just don't have. I don't think we could really make a lot of conclusions here. I would rather be positioned a little bit lighter after we've had this nice bounce and ran out of steam today. And I think, as always, I'm getting a lot of questions about the election and so forth. I think it's going to be choppy. And again, I'm not making any prediction, but if I had to guess, that's what I think would happen. And I think this market's going to give you good trading opportunities. But I think overall, the lighter that you could be positioned, and the way that the lighter that you could be positioned so that you could react to these different swings that we're seeing in the market, I think the better, right? And to take advantage as the market turns, right? And also keeping the quantity of positions down in your trading account too. What I'm mostly talking about in these videos is trading, right? I'm not talking. I also have an investment account. That's the Tribeca Trade Group portfolio. I only rebalance that about once every 3 weeks, right? So I'm really talking about the short-term stuff. Short-term for swing trading, right? Swing trading meaning a couple days to a couple weeks in a trade, which I do. Label as short-term thinking, short-term trading. All right, guys. So that's kind of my thoughts for the day. The Qs, the Qs also, of course, still up on the day, but stalled out. So, could we continue higher here? We could. I still think, by the way, going back to this market, what I think could be a choppy month going forward. Still, the Fed has this market's back, and I think there's not a lot of other places, I think, to really, put your money in. I mean, look at what happened to TLT today, down almost 1%. We've talked about how a big move is coming in bonds. Could it still be coming? I would watch, we've got this new value area. This won't be lit up on my screen till tomorrow, but I think if this breaks value, which it's right there, TLT could be a short. It could also, being that this value area is so slim, it could also press to the bottom of this and then go up. That's also one of the things. These value areas, the price likes to bounce around them a little bit before it kind of gives a direction. So I'll be watching this very closely with TLT. I mentioned I would bring up the solar. Yeah, so this is what I mean, a little bit long in the tooth at this point. This has been basically straight up for the last 4 days in the solar ETF. This has been tremendous. And I'm long, speaking of the Tribeca Trade Group portfolio, I've been long tan for a long time. But maybe thinking about taking some profits here. Also, the other ETF is PBW. Didn't have quite of a nice day as this, but man, these solar stocks have been unreal. I'll leave with Tesla. Tesla did get over it's right around the pivot area that I'm looking for. So this will be a name that I'm watching for tomorrow. Let me zoom out a little bit. You could see it's right there. It just didn't have momentum. And again, it's kind of hitting this trend line that I've got drawn. So could be a decent move coming for Tesla. I'm not going to call which way because it's just too close to call. But I'm looking for an up move, obviously, in Tesla. But I know where it's going to fail. If it breaks back below 427, then I would think differently. These were other names that we saw some option activity in. If you look to the right, again, a lot of action and option in the option world today. So I'll leave it there for the day. Again, really the market webs gave us a great roadmap for the day. Where to basically be. Lighten up on some risk. Besides the events of the day, the technicals kind of drew it out perfectly for us. All right, guys, have a great night and see you tomorrow.